Esteemed Professor P.N. Singh presiding over the function, my esteemed brother Professor M.K. Taneja, Swami Adarniya Swami Shyamananji, and esteemed and respected brother Sri Raghunandanji, and the dignitary of academic leaders from northeastern states, and my fellow colleagues from this institute and guests. In fact, I had prepared a technical lecture for 1.5 hours on understanding academic leadership. But then I'm highly thankful to the director and Raghunandanji that I was elevated to be the guest of honor. But then this hampered my time. And maybe because of the tight schedule, that academic session of 1.5 hours was drawn from me. However, I know the limitations of time. I've taken a permission to speak for 20 minutes and definitely stick to the topic only, that is leadership, academic leadership. While much has been spoken about our Indian tradition of knowledge, before starting on the point of academic leadership, I would just like to mention one thing, that there is no doubt or debate across the globe that Indian knowledge and tradition Indian tradition of knowledge acquisition and knowledge creation was the richest. And now every scholar across the world acknowledges, they may not acknowledge for some political reasons, but every genuine scholar acknowledges that we were really the Vishwa Gurus. So what is required? Our science and technology was at the peak. One example, for example, there can be hundreds of examples, hundreds of literary works can be quoted, and you all know them. Astronomy, for example. That mathematical calculations, your supercomputers are doing, our rishis did it long time back. So you can imagine what was the scientific tradition. So what is required is that we require the resurgence of that knowledge creation tradition. And once we do it, there's no doubt, and at least I have no doubt in my mind, that we'll be academic leaders and Vishwa Gurus. Why Vishwa Gurus? Because besides this scientific technological knowledge creation, we are the only people on this earth, Mother Earth, who believe in universalism. We are the only people in this Mother Earth who believe in Ekatma, who believe in Sanatan, who believe in freedom. Swamiji said that he is a student of Swami Vivekananda. You all know about that lecture of Swamiji which was given at Chicago. It only talks of what? Freedom. We are the champions of freedom, not US. So resurgence of India is required. And I tell you, I'll come to the topic straight away because the time is very limited. Academic leaders have the most important role in this resurgence. And understanding academic leadership is therefore very important. I am a student of education. I have done a PhD on educational leadership only. I have studied educational leadership and taught leadership at the Banaras Hindu University for almost 35 years. I understand what leadership is, what academic leadership is. I would have taken at least 3-4 hours to explain all the facets of it. But however, in 20 minutes, I just like to give you a brief idea of it, a glimpse of it. And I think you will receive my message. Unlike all other managements, you could have named the program as Educational Management Program. No, education is not management. Therefore, we have talked of leadership, academic leadership, leadership of the principal. Why? We have to understand the nature of an academic institution. Now, in the academic institution, particularly, even it is applicable at the school level, however, at the university and college level, one amongst the faculty is chosen to be a leader. This implies that the structure of educational leadership and management is T-shaped, not vertical only. It is horizontal, more horizontal than vertical. Now, all your colleagues are equally qualified. There may be many of the professors or teachers who may be even more qualified than you, who may be more visionary than you, who may be having brighter ideas than you, who may be more hardworking than you. Another important thing to understand, because I have to move fast because of the time. Now, for example, I read a book, and in that book I read that a principal or the head of the institution or a vice chancellor is the captain of the ship, wherein an institution is imagined by that author as a ship. I don't agree to this. Because a ship is a system wherein all individual instruments are tuned to work in an integrated fashion, which the ship is, and the ship moves. An educational institution is not such an integrated system. I'll come to that later, little later. But I agree to the fact that an educational leader is the captain. If the ship institution is imagined to be the ship. Now, on the ship which floats in an open sea, the only tool in the hand of the captain is the compass to lead him to the direction or the goal or the destination where he wants to go. Howsoever good, integrated, best ship of the world be there, that will not reach the goal without that compass. So there has to be a compass in the hand of the academic leader. What that compass is, I'll come to that a little later. But before that, you have to understand, after all, why you are a leader and why you are not a manager. One point I said that you are operating with academicians who may be more qualified and more knowledgeable than you. And above this, the most important thing is that every individual professor or the faculty is autonomous. He is an independent functionary. And if this autonomy is taken by the leader, disturbed by the leader, academic purpose will be flouted. There can't be any knowledge generation. And universities and colleges are meant to train people for knowledge generation. Because unless and until we develop such knowledge creators, we will not be positioned, there won't be any resurgence of Indian knowledge studies. And over the period of time, I am disheartened that such an academic autonomy is being withdrawn, is being hampered thereby crushing the creativity of our minds. You crush the creativity as a leader of a teacher, the teacher crushes the creativity of a student as a consequence. And we have been talking of autonomy, academic autonomy, always. So, you are a leader, you are not a manager. You are maybe a manager to just manage the vertical administrative machinery. Now, in an academic institution, you have a vertical machinery from a registrar or administrative officer, section officer, joint registrar, deputy registrar, assistant registrar, clerk, blah, 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 blah. Now, what for is this entire machinery there? This entire machinery is there to support the autonomic functioning of the faculty. So that not a single minute of the faculty is wasted in works that are non-academic. Because ultimately, as a teacher, the society is expecting only academic production from you. No other expectation is there from us. Now, our academic production is valued in terms of our students and in terms of our new knowledge created. And if you are not doing these two things, if you are not creating knowledge, we will not be able to produce students who will be in a position to further create knowledge or operate at the front lines of the knowledge. So a teacher or an academician is to be given 100% autonomy. Enough time for what? For what? For acquisition of frontline knowledge, for experimentation, for creation of new knowledge. And the vertical hierarchy, the administration, has to support this whole system. They have to ensure the supplies. They have to ensure laboratory supplies. They have to ensure maintenance. They have to ensure uninterrupted internet supply. They have to ensure what not. And as a principal, or as a vice chancellor, or as a director, or as an academic leader, what is your concern? What is your role? While your role is a supervisory role of an administrator to see and ensure and administer the supplies and management through the vertical hierarchy, the registry, your managerial role, but that role, a good academic leader would spend at maximum 1 hour per day. I was a vice chancellor, I did this and I cleared all my files in 1 hour every day. No file was pending, because I would not waste my time there. I had a very large mandate of developing an institution and developing and setting up the entire system of world-class autonomy, world-class facilities, world-class infrastructure for my faculty and students. An academic leader has to be, therefore, an academic par excellence. स्वामी विवेकानंद ने कभी बोला कि शिक्षक तो एक दीपक की तरह तरीके से है जो सतत जलता रहता है और वो जलेगा तभी दूसरों को प्रकाशमान कर सकेगा. तो अगर आपको, if you are as an academic leader, you have to illuminate, inspire, motivate, facilitate the faculty and your students. Then you have to be constantly burning for what? New knowledge, new ideas, and at the same time bringing those newer ideas, newer things to the forefront of the faculty and give them freedom to acquire those ideas and work upon them. So friends, as an academic leader, your responsibility is more of an inspiration provider, more as a torch bearer, more as a person to set examples worth emulation, more as setting standards of behavioral performance befitting our cultural tradition. Automatically discipline comes. You have to lead from the front. And that is the only reason that only great academicians are selected as vice chancellors and should be selected as vice chancellors. Only great academicians should be appointed as principals or head of institutions. Because if the person is not academically very sound, he would not be able to inspire people. Another point. As an academic leader, you don't have to be a boss. You have to be the biggest student. Because you have to be open to the ideas coming from all your faculty members. Because many a times it's the collective wisdom that leads to even further brighter ideas and management and clarifications. Now the point is how to do it. There are definitely certain techniques. I would have dwelt upon those techniques if there was a time. Anyway, you have to, as academic leader, respect individuality of your academic colleague. You have to, as an academic leader, understand the requirements of that individual faculty. When I say requirements in terms of what he needs for work, what he needs for academic excellence, what he is demanding, why, what is the purpose, and making those requirements, assessing those requirements, you have to ensure through your registry, just order your registry to provide those things on the table. Germany, for example, has the highest academic tradition. There is no doubt about it. कोई बहस का मुद्दा नहीं है. German academic standards are the highest in the world. I had a fortune of working as a Humboldt fellow with one of the vice chancellor of a German university. There, the vice chancellor had only one secretary. Only one secretary. It was not like our vice chancellors. And of course, there was a machinery for it. But if the vice chancellor had any work or anything to do with an academic fellow, he may be a professor, he may be a docent. Docent is a leader there, or he may be just an assistant. But if he is on an academic position, he will either talk to him on the internet or on the intercom, and in case he needs any delivery, needs to discuss furthermore, consult or see his work, he'll go to his table, he'll never call him to the office. Of course, this is not possible in our culture. This is not possible. Because of the very fact that principal is a boss. He is not a leader. Majority of times. I conducted a study long back on the academic leadership of principals, and it was a project funded by the then NEPA. It is a university now. And I found that 79% principals answered the question, what do you think that you are? And they said that we are the academic head, we are the academic boss, we are the boss of the institution. That was the flavor of the responses. And when you are operating with this institution, this thing in your mind that you are a boss, you are the secretary or you are the minister, believe it, you will fail. You will fail. You may complete your tenure, you may complete, but you will fail as to deliver academics. You will fail to deliver academics. You will fail as a leader to ensure the academic standards. You will fail as a leader to motivate and inspire people to create new knowledge and newer ideas. Most important is the motivation and morale. It's not the moral, it is morale. Motivation and morale. And this motivation and morale of the faculty, for what? To infuse in them a sense of self-responsibility towards the students and towards the society. And towards the subject, towards the science and knowledge. And this you can do only there is only one mantra. There is only one mantra. Respect and encourage. Faith and trust. Proper time management. But it is also equally important. I don't say that all your functionaries, all your teachers, all your faculty members will respond to your techniques of motivation and ensuring high morale. There would be defaulters. There has to be an accountability. There has to be an accountability. I don't say this is autonomy is without any accountability. But that accountability is also entirely of a different nature. Adopt procedures and methods of ensuring what the person is doing or what he has done in the last 6 months. A great institution, you go to any foreign university, a professor will be asked to make a presentation, asked to deliver a seminar, he will be asked to deliver a, it's a compulsory for him. And that seminar would be open to the whole university, wherein all faculty members of the university will be there. So it is not a seminar or it's not a seminar presentation for laymen. And look at Ali nahi bajega. It's a technical presentation of your work, what you have done, of the science what you have produced in the last 6 months. And for our setting, they are equally great scientists like as you are. They will pat you. They will never pat you. What would be there in that seminar? There would be questions and questions and questions in a manner that if you are not prepared to be fully aware, you are not prepared or fully aware with whatever knowledge you have created, how you have created, whether this is a new knowledge or plagiarism or replication, you will be thrashed. But this thrashing, what happens? Not only you learn your weaknesses, not only you get educated, but even the students, the other faculty members also get educated. Now, do we have any such tradition in our universities or colleges? Oh, we have. We have a system of accountability. Papers should be published in care list. What is that care list? Don't we know it? Don't we know it? A paper should go to the care list only when this paper has been in the house, presented before the faculty and research scholars. Why not? So accountabilities have to be set up in a manner that also promotes excellence in academics. You have to be really receptive of innovative ideas. And for that, I have no hesitation. I am a most obedient servant of Malviyaji. And my Malviyaji, as far as back, 100 years back, wrote and rather made it a mandate. Pratichi prachi ka mel sundar hona chahiye. आप देखो भाई Western systems में क्या हो रहा है? Why their universities are top ranking in the world? There is no harm in it. Adopt your good practices. For example, I named one of the good practices of accountability. So, unless and until this culture comes into our academic institutions, there won't be any resurgence of Indian knowledge. We may deliver. We may have seminars. And what happens in those seminars? We all know. I remember when this National Policy on Education and my Professor Raghunandan जी मेरी बात को सब्सटेंशिएट करे, पहला सेमिनार नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन एजुकेशन में मैंने करा और मैंने उसके बाद में एक रफ डेटा सिर्फ गूगल से निकलवाया। अक्रॉस द कंट्री मोर देन 10,000 सेमिनार्स अभी भी हो रहे हैं। क्यों हो रहे हैं भाई? क्यों हो रहे हैं? सेमिनार करने से एनईपी इंप्लीमेंट हो जाएगा? सेमिनार करने से क्या एकेडमिक एक्सेलेंस आ जाएगा? क्या आया है कभी? सेमिनार किस लिए होता है? सेमिनार किस चीज का होता है? सेमिनार किस चीज का होना चाहिए? साइंटिफिक सेमिनार होना चाहिए, जैसे मैंने अभी बताया। रिसर्च का सेमिनार, रिसर्च प्रेजेंटेशन का सेमिनार होना चाहिए, पीएचडी का सेमिनार होना चाहिए। क्यों पीएचडी में 3 आदमी जाएगा और चौथा आदमी 3 पागल मिलकर एक चौथे आदमी को पीएचडी अवार्ड कर देंगे? उसके ऊपर पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पर सेमिनार होना चाहिए। हम कब जगेंगे? रिसर्चर्स की बात करेंगे तो रिसर्चर्स हो जाएगा? नो। माय टाइम इज ओवर। आई हैव ऑलरेडी टेकन 8 minutes more. So friends, I would just conclude by saying one thing. If you really want to become a respected academic leader, if you really want to be rule the hearts of your academic fraternity and your students, provide autonomy, ensure support and mechanism, freedom of work with world-class facilities to operate at front lines with new knowledge. We all know in the scientific community, new knowledge is generated only through newer technologies. It doesn't come through talks. It doesn't come through talks. It comes through high-speed internet. It comes through high-speed DNA sequencers. It comes through frontline equipments. And it comes through that frontline support. Thank you very much.